Well, good morning to you today. Monday of Holy Week. This is the first day of our several days in a row that we will be posting a devotional thought for this Holy Week, just to help us focus our attention on what was taking place in the life of Jesus this last week that he walked on this earth as part of his earthly ministry. We're at Monday, day one, as we just celebrated yesterday, Palm Sunday, which literally begins the week. But today is the Monday. This is the day when Jesus entered the temple and cleansed the temple. He also cursed a barren fig tree. He taught in the temple, confronting those leaders who were questioning his authority. And also, we realize that those who heard and witnessed Jesus' miraculous healings began to sing praises to him, and this caused the religious authorities to begin looking for ways that they could kill him. So let's take a look at these individually this morning. We'll start first of all with the cleansing of the temple. We're going to use Matthew 21, 12 through 17 as our passage. So let's read that together. It says this, "And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who sold and bought in the temple, and he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. He said to them, 'It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers.' And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the scribes saw the wonderful things he did, and that the children were crying out in the temple, 'Hosanna to the Son of David,' they were indignant, and they said to him, 'Do you hear what these are saying?' And Jesus said to them, 'Yes, have you never read that out of the mouths of infants and nursing babes you have prepared praise?' And leaving them, he went out of the city to Bethany and lodged there." Now, this passage will give us much of what we will talk about today as we think of day one. We see, of course, here first that he entered the temple and he cleansed the temple. But also, as he left from the temple, in Mark's gospel, we find that he cursed at this barren fig tree. Let's look at that passage real quick. It says this in Mark 11, 12 through 14. "On the following day, when they came from Bethany, he was hungry, and seeing in the distance a fig tree and a leaf, he went to see if he could find anything on it. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. And he said to it, 'May no one ever eat fruit from you again.' And his disciples heard this." This was just an event as they were walking down the road that took place, and Jesus encountered this fig tree that was barren, and he cursed that fig tree. Now keep that in mind, because tomorrow we will realize that as they walk back past this tree, that something unique will be said about it as well. But also, Jesus taught in the temple, and he confronted those leaders who questioned his authority. We read part of this a moment ago, but let's look back at those first couple of verses again. It said, "Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who sold and bought in the temple, and he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. And he said to them," and here's what his real concern for them, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers." He was addressing with them the thing that God had intended to be holy and to remain holy, which was his temple, had become nothing more than just a bargaining place where they would make money off of the sacrificial system that God had put into place. And he drove them out, and he cursed them literally for making the house of prayer for all nations a den of robbers, where he just literally said, "You're robbing the people when you exchange the monies for them with these offerings that they must bring." And then also, we see that those who heard and witnessed Jesus began to praise. We heard that in that passage from Matthew, but the thing that I want us to remind us of is what's said in Luke 19, 47 and 48. And this is, of course, Luke's gospel, where he's recording the same event. And he says this, "As he was teaching daily in the temple, the chief priests and scribes and the principal men of the people seeking to destroy him, but they could not find anything they could do, for all the people were hanging on his words." You see, Jesus had reminded them in that first passage that we read that out of the mouths of babes come praises. And so we realize that here they were trying to find a way that they could put him to death, because he was shaking up the religious system of his day. He came to change the hearts of men. and he realized that their hearts were cruel. And he just was doing his best as he was fulfilling the mission God had for him on this day to cleanse the temple, to remind them that what God made as holy is to remain holy. Also, that the place that was to be a place of prayer had become nothing more than a den of robbers. And then, as they heard the children and the people praising the Lord, they asked him, "Can you hear this?" And he said, "Certainly I hear this. Have you not heard the prophecy that out of the mouths of babes will come the praise?" And so Jesus was okay with the people praising him because he knew he was worthy of their praise. And then the fact that they were trying to find ways, the religious leaders were trying to find ways that they could kill Jesus, to just get him out of their way. He was shaking up their system in such a mighty way. So this is day one as we think about the week of Holy Week. And as we think of this day, let's remember that fact that Christ came to make holy those things which God proclaimed to be holy. That's true in their world, it's true in our world. Think about our lives and the things that we have allowed to crowd in to our lives, and things that God intends to be holy for us, that we've allowed them to become unholy. And so let's pray that God would reveal those to us so that we could confess them to him. Hope you have a great day today. We'll look forward to tomorrow as we listen to day 2 of Holy Week.